Hi, this is Kevin Kelley and Heather Ashley, and this is the Sheridan, Arkansas podcast.
We're here to talk about the HOCO game that's coming up on November 7th, correct? And I have a few questions for you pertaining the football game and how you've been exactly mentoring and training the team this upcoming season, but especially for the homecoming game, since that's a very big community game.
Okay.
So how is the football team preparing for the homecoming game?
Well, it's interesting. The homecoming game this year is the last game of the year, and so it's a little different than usual. So it'll have big implications as far as on the field. Could be playoff implications, a seed up or a seed down. It's also the last game for the seniors on this home field for them, unless we win out and get a home playoff game. And then, so there's a lot of things that go into it. As far as the week, as a coach, you're worried about the distractions because there's so much going on that week with the community and former graduates coming home, but all this cool stuff in school. And coaches usually balk at homecoming week, but I like it. I think it's a fun distraction. I think it's good. I think that it's cool because the whole school seems to draw life from it, and they take on they really shine and they show their character and they show a lot of enthusiasm. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Are you planning on participating in the homecoming dress-up days?
No, it depends on what the dress-up days are.
So the first day is America Day.
Okay.
If you spot me, I'm going to be painted like an American flag.
Okay.
The second day,
I'll definitely wear an American flag of some sort. I'm a big flag guy.
Me too. I have American swim trunks that go down to my knees, and then I have my dad's. I bought him, and it's a red shirt, and it has 3 American cats on it.
Oh, wow.
He's not a cat guy, but I had to buy it for him.
I'm not a real cat guy either.
Yeah, my dad hates cat. He's probably jumping up and down recently because my cat ran away, so he's really happy.
He's happy, yeah.
Yeah. The second day is Adam Sandler versus Barbie. You seem like a Barbie guy. I'm joking. Character day, throwback day. I'm sure you have some throwback days. Like from at least the 80s?
I am a throwback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
But, I probably got some throwback stuff.
Yeah, I always wear my dad's 80s stuff. Or 90s, whichever year he graduated. He's a little old. He's about 50. And then the last day, I don't know if you'll be able to participate this. You may be in the black section. It's Color Wars. So freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors all have different colors. But seniors are black. And, that's the oldest one. Maybe the teachers probably will go based on their advisory schedule.
I wonder if I'm gray.
Like
my hair. Just kidding. Go ahead. But you'd like that.
Yeah, I think most of the teachers are probably going to do their advisories colors but you're not a teacher here. You got lucked out with that. Most coaches are.
Well, I feel like I teach kids every day something.
Exactly. Oh, don't you have a daycare business or something?
I got that. Yeah, I got that on the side. But I feel like I teach our kids something every day.
Oh yeah, with the football team.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a huge mentor role, and I know a lot.
When you go 7th through 12th, I'm covering almost 300 kids.
Oh, you do all the way to 7th?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I thought you were only the high school area. That's really neat. So is there anything you tell or do for the team to motivate them? I know y'all had the sideline people now that y'all do the dinners, and I always see you the end of prayer or something like that. Mm-hmm. I know you do that, but so would you describe any of the stuff that you do or things that we don't see normally?
Every day after practice, and I don't know that the kids always like this because they're hot and tired and whatever, but I try to tell them a story about something that either tells a story about life, motivates them, or is a life lesson of some sort. Yesterday or day before, I sent out some motivational messages, videos, little 30-second videos I find on, YouTube or Twitter or whatever, or X, whatever you call it now.
Yeah.
And but I try to send them a little motivational stuff a few times a week too, because I think people like to be inspired.
Yeah.
So certainly I do those daily. And then it's more of looking for individuals that might need pick-me-ups or motivation. Because besides football's hard, school's hard, life's hard, and people want to be inspired.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it can beat down the some of the players when they get subbed out or they get switched out, and maybe they're not starting that time. So those kids who don't start, maybe they need a little bit pick-me-up. So it's very important to keep your team motivated so that they get on the field and they try their best. Which honestly, I don't care what anybody says. I think our football team's been pretty good since you came here. My brother played football for a year in high school. I went to one because they lost every game that season. Mm-hmm. They were bad. But even though we're not winning every single game, we're scoring points. You're seeing improvements on the field, and you're seeing these amazing plays and all that stuff. So I think you being one of the coaches, the head coach, has certainly brought improvement to the team. What would you say to the community, mostly students, about participating in dress-up days and the activities in the HOCO week? How to get like the spirit to like inspire our football team, the HOCO ceremony people, for like all their like they're about to play their last game, the biggest like community game. So how would you describe or say to the community?
I think the community does a fantastic job of coming together at different times. Look at Timberfest and all the people that come and things like that. That's a community festival. Look at the Grant County Fair. That's a community type thing. I hope homecoming can become that, if it's not already, a great community thing where more and more people come out and enjoy each other. I love the festivities I mentioned earlier in the week that we do here at school. And I hope as many students participate as want to. And I know what I mean is when I was in school, sometimes you're like I'm too cool for some of this stuff. But in reality, nobody looks at you and thinks anything other than, well, look at them. And then 5 minutes later, they're thinking about themselves anyway. So participate and have fun and enjoy. Nobody thinks you're too cool or not cool enough, because in reality, we just think about ourselves a lot anyway. So enjoy it. Get out there and be who you want to be and do what you want to do within the alignment of what they have for the festivities, and make it a fun week. And the seniors, they need to make it a fun week because it's their last year for homecoming week. And all the seniors, whether you participate in a sport or band or the arts or anything, you look at it as like a fun time to celebrate together your last time, because it is, and you'll never get to come back here, and you don't get to, you'll wish you could go back and do it again when you're my age. Right now you're ready to get out of school, and then you spend the rest of your time wishing you could go back and do it again, which is crazy. But homecoming is a fun part of that, and I encourage everybody to take part in it and make it just a memorable time and a memorable atmosphere, and enjoy each other in a time when sometimes that's not always possible.
Yeah, as a senior, I know I am gonna attempt to participate. I'm gonna go all out for the dress-up days, but for the activities, I don't know if that's much for me. Maybe I'll hurt my foot again. You never know with my luck. But I feel like a lot of kids these days are so scared to go out and participate in the activities. I know I was like freshman year. Sophomore and junior year, I was out on the field taking photos, and low-key I may just do that again for Coach Zach and pawn it off as an East project. Because I mean that's how I got involved at school. That was my excuse to go to every football game and everything. The one football game I went to this year was I was taking photos for your son. So
what do you have to say to the kids though that are kind of scared to participate?
Just find an excuse. Find an excuse. If it's one of your friends is too scared, do it with your friend. If you do East or you do yearbook, get out there and take photos. Even if it's just like, if you see I have a little cousin in this school. If your cousin's all alone, be a good family member, go out and help them. Especially if you're seniors, there's going to be that one person who doesn't have a friend. And even if you're not their friend, step up and be that friend, because I know I have been that person without friends, because my best friend moved away freshman year. How dare she? Poland doesn't deserve her. But just be that person to step up. And I know, Sheridan is a pretty religious town, but not everybody's religious. But I am, so I would do what God just wants us to treat people with kindness, and to go out and treat them like how Jesus would treat them. And that's how I have started looking at on life is, would Jesus treat that person like that? Would Jesus discriminate, or would Jesus disclude this person because of how they look or how they act or stuff? That person still deserves to be involved.
Well, and I love what you said about find somebody that seems like they're alone or whatever, because I'm obviously with my shirt, I'm a believer too.
Yeah.
But regardless, forget spirituality for a minute. And if you see somebody that you can help, or that you could just say something to, you never know when it's going to make their day or make a difference. And anytime you spend those moments doing that, I promise you, I don't care whether you're a believer or non-believer, you feel good about it. You never feel bad about trying to be nice to somebody.
Exactly.
And you would think that would make everybody want to do that a little bit more, but I love that, and this is a week to do it, right? I mean, it's a festive week. Everybody's going to be excited, or not everybody, but the ones that are excited, reach out and grab everybody.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody in together for a week and see how it makes us feel. And I bet we'll wish we could do it again if we do that.
Exactly. HOCO Week is one that brings the community together, the students together. And even if it's just you see somebody and they're dressed up, compliment their outfit. Say, I love what you did with your HOCO outfit. I love that you dressed up for America Day. Like, I'm so glad you're showing your patriot side. Like, or be like, oh, I love that you brought back the 70s and their decades outfit. Like, just a simple compliment could make somebody's day go so far and encourage them to participate and really live out their high school life. Because high school, I may not have enjoyed high school that much, but the times that I have participated, like with prom or winter formal last year, HOCO this year, it is so much better than laying in my bed and missing it. Like, every time I miss a football game, I have it on stream because I'm like disappointed I'm not at the football game.
Yeah.
And or if I don't like participate in something, like, yeah, I'm a little disappointed I'm not wearing red today because Red Ribbon Week and the school didn't announce it until last night. Like, it's something like participating and like people like showing, like, complimenting or like noticing that you like participated, or like including you because you participated, or even if you didn't participate, it can make somebody's day so much better because you don't know what that person's going through or anything. Like, that person could be having the most horrible day of their life and that's why they didn't participate, but you including them even though they didn't participate could make their week go fantastic. And you making a little impact could like impact somebody's whole life.
You just made me think of something. During the year, I have different things that I talk to the players about. And one of the things I've been on for a long time is go out and make somebody's day today. Something small, doesn't have to be big. You don't have to go buy them lunch. But if you do something out of the ordinary, like you see somebody that you see every day, you never even say hey to them. Say hi to them. Say, hey, how you doing? I'm sorry I haven't said hi to you before. That might make their day. Or if you don't usually go hug your mother, go give her a hug.
Yeah.
Make her day. And I'm bringing it back today. I'm going to harp on it every day at the end of my practices and every day with some kids. Let's go out and make 3 people's day a day. Just something small. It takes 1 minute. Doesn't cost you anything. You're not doing it because you want anything back. You just want to make the world a happier place. And that's called, there's a movie called Pay It Forward. If you've never seen it, see it. It's an awesome movie, and that's kind of the basis of that.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great words, and I hope that the people watching the podcast are inspired by the words that you shared today and that they participate and then come out and watch the homecoming game, because I think our team truly does deserve it because they're putting in so much hard work. We are not blessed yet, vote on the millage, for an indoor facility yet. Whitehall does, I think.
Everybody does. Just
Everybody does, and we don't. But our team is still out there, especially during the summer, and they are sweating, and they're just getting hot and everything. They feel icky, but they're still.
And band could use it.
Band and
soccer could use it.
ROTC.
There's a lot. Yeah, ROTC could. Yeah, there's a lot of good uses of it. Things like that. I want to mention something too before we close.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was really cool, and the reason I'm sitting here is because a young lady, that doesn't know me, reached out to me and just said, will you be on our podcast? Yeah. And I want to encourage people to do that because we go through life scared to ask for things, whether it's when you're your age and guys are scared to ask girls to go out on a date or to go have a lunch or something like that, or whether it's you're scared to ask for a job or to ask somebody for help or ask somebody for a recommendation for something, whether it's college or a job or whatever. You can't get it if you don't ask. And the worst they can say is no, usually, and
usually.
There's a lot of truth to that. And you asked, and then, Coach Zach asked me, he's like, oh, so you're going to do this for Heather? And I'm like, yeah, she reached out and asked me. I want to reward her for doing things because that's how you get things done. That's how people are successful. That's how companies are successful. Organizations are successful. You go out and ask for what you need and want, and you go out and ask for people to work hard. And it usually works out pretty good. So I want to compliment you. I think that was awesome. It's the only reason I'm sitting here.
Thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of networking, especially in just Grant County because of our podcast. But it makes connections through, like, I do a lot of reaching out to city officials to try to get them on here, covering the special election, the election coming up in March, anything to do with Sheridan. And personally, I want to work in the government. Not for Grant County, but I want to be in the government. My dream is to be the FBI director, first female, but I do want to work. I'm going to go military, and then I'm going to go FBI. So it's very government, and I think having connections for people that, because just like Coach Zach said something at the very beginning of the year. He like knew somebody when he started photography, and then that landed him getting Amplify, and now he does these other things like pageants. And that really inspired me. I was like, I need to make these connections before I go out to like college, or even just starting out working in the government or just the military. These connections that I make through podcast or reaching out to officials in Sheridan's and learning more about stuff is how I'll hopefully be successful in life, because I'll have these people who can vouch that I went out and I tried my best, and that I'm involved, and that I'm educated on most of these subjects that I talk about. And so reaching out was very scary, especially to the mayor. I put the mayor off for so long, but I finally was like, I'm going to go to City Hall. And I went to City Hall, and I officially got him on the podcast. So it's all about just, having to push that anxiety down and think about the future.
Yeah, and that's the networking, also asking for things. Those are all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're meeting people and talking to them and stuff like that. And I wasn't a big networker when I was your age. I wish I would have been. And people would always talk about that and stuff. But you wouldn't believe the cool, awesome things and people I've got to meet and hang out with from networking and just asking. And I'd encourage y'all at your age to do that. I didn't start till I was older. But I love what you're saying. I love what you said too. You want to be the first female FBI director. That's a 1 in a million shot, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do it if you don't have the goal.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. So I appreciate that. I hope people learn from that too. But thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and I will officially jump in to the mayor's interview about the special elections bonds. Hello, this is the Sheridan, Arkansas podcast. I'm Heather, actually your host, and this is our guest, Mayor Cain Nattin.
Hey, how's it going? Super excited to be here today. Just a little bit about myself. Graduate from Sheridan High School. 10-year reunion just happened last weekend, so glad to be back, and always cool to come back to Sheridan High. So glad to be here.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of new renovations since you were in here in school.
Yes. Yeah, we got a tour during our reunion, so I got to see, of course, East Class, of course, the arena and the changes that have been made since we were in school, which even just short 10 years can change for sure.
Yeah, my brother wasn't here too long ago, 6 years, so I have definitely seen the improvements as he went on and graduated. So I'm going to start off with some questions. Can you explain in simple terms what the bond proposal is and why the city of Sheridan is pursuing it now?
Yes, so for starters, it's kind of a touchy subject just because people, they hear bond, they hear special election, and it automatically takes your mind to taxes. And people, just when they hear that word, their blood pressure rises. Just because of local economy, national economy, and talking about taxes, it gets into people's pocketbooks. But this is not a tax increase. So that's the most important thing that I can say regarding this bond issue. It's not a tax increase. Just because currently there are two 1% sales taxes that are currently in place within Sheridan. Not only are they in place, they're not going anywhere. They're established. They've sunset, which just means that they have been voted on by the people to stay in place. And so the people have voted that these stay in place. One of the 1% goes directly to public safety. It funds our detention center. It funds 12 of our police officers' salaries. But it also funds our local volunteer fire department and needs that you can really narrow down anything to be a public safety need. But that's the majority of what that 1% goes towards. And then, of course, the other 1% is dedicated to parks and recreation and street. So this is of course just asking for surplus advancement. So that's what we're asking for, is just a surplus advancement of funds we'll already receive. So it's hard to explain just because you hear, man, the city's asking for a $5 million bond issue, and people are like, whoa, I need information. Well, it's fairly simple. And honestly, we can do all of the projects that we want to do with this bond issue. It's just going to take us about 25 years currently with the amount of time that we would take to collect that amount. of sales tax. But this is just asking for, like I said, advancement of it. So that's what this bond issue is all about.
Okay. What are the main goals behind the proposed parks and recreation improvements?
So when you look at this bond issue, this surplus advancement, one of the biggest things that we're focusing on right now is renovating our current holdings, and that's something that I pushed for when I was running for mayor. Was we need to make sure we're taking care of things that we already have. It's great to add new things, which we're going to add a few new things, but we really want to make sure we're taking care of things that we already have. So one of the biggest expenses is a 2.5 out of this $5 million bond issue, a $2.5 million renovation to the Sheridan Rec Center. People of this community use it every day. There's a weight room, there's a gym, there's rooms that you can use for birthday party showers. I mean, half of the students at Sheridan High, or at least used to, take their driving test at the Sheridan Rec Center. So, it's important that we make sure that we're maintaining that. It was built in 1988, and I don't believe a major renovation has been done since. So this would be a major improvement to that. So that's one of the biggest things, of course, but we're also making sure that we're being energy efficient and completing LED lighting across the facility, whether it's ball field lighting, whether it's tennis court lighting, even just simple lights on our nature walk trail will all be converted to LED lighting so that we're able to lower energy costs. But it's also adding an ADA compliant T-ball field that we can use for a Miracle League field that we can partner with the school district. We can partner with local businesses to do a Miracle League program in our community, something that South Arkansas doesn't have currently. Central Arkansas, yes, but South Arkansas, no. So that's something else. And then, of course, just finishing out some other projects like a road widening out by our soccer fields, which is one of the narrowest roads in the city. But also adding a storage building for tractors and some of our side-by-sides that we use each and every day. It's just smaller projects like that, but we're doing renovations park-wide, whether it's at the rec center, at our swimming pool and splash pad, or also at our dog park. We're doing renovations from the top all the way to the bottom.
One thing personally I would love to see at the rec center is I know we already have a swimming pool, but I think it would be so cool to partner up with the rec center and the school to form a swim team, because we have that pool and it could be used for great things. And another thing is because when we were writing down East Ideas before I settled on, I want to do a podcast because I've been involved in journalism since 9th grade. I did yearbook. I tried to start a newspaper here, and I finally got my podcast. It's amazing. I love it.
But you say that, we're so grateful, and I say we, the city and our Parks and Recreation Department, we already partner with the Sheridan School District each and every day, and it's awesome that we can do that. Sheridan School District currently doesn't have softball or baseball fields, and we house the softball and baseball team at our facilities. But not just that, tennis teams, the school district doesn't have any tennis courts, so we are adding a tennis court in this proposed bond issue to catch up with demands of local tennis players. And so it's great to see the continuation of that partnership.
Yeah, I like my mom. She showed me where the old tennis courts used to be by the auxiliary. She showed me it when I was going to my girls' state meeting, and I was like, oh my gosh, those are actually horrible. So for the city to partner with that is just amazing. Another thing that I've always dreamed about since like middle school is if the recreation center would put something volleyball related in there, because we have the volleyball team, but if we have like the soccer league outside of school, we have the baseball softball outside of school. I think it would be very cool to incorporate a volleyball so kids can be shown those skills before, instead of having to travel all the way to Little Rock.
Exactly, and that's part of the renovation is a complete remodel of our Parks and Recreation facility. That indoor, and really it's an indoor-outdoor gym because there's no AC in there currently, and that would change with the passage of this bond issue, but it's going to be a multi-purpose gym where you can, of course, do basketball like there is currently, but we'll be able to have pickleball inside and be able to host a pickleball night.
Oh,
We'll be
hallelujah.
able to have, the extension of volleyball nets in the new renovation of the rec center. So that's something that we will be able to host, and super excited about this.
Yeah, I bet the community will be very grateful for that. How were these particular projects, like the recreation center upgrades, new tennis courts, and turf field, chosen?
So there is currently a Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. There's also a Parks and Recreation Director, department head. So starting with the department head, Joel Stanton has been the Parks and Recreation Director for years. He was department head under previous Mayor Joe Wise. I kept him on as department head when I transitioned in as mayor, and he does a wonderful job. Joel, for what the older facilities and the older equipment that he has, he does such a wonderful job to maintain what we currently have. And Joel is he's so important for our Parks and Recreation Department because a majority of these projects he's wanted to do and he has plans to do. And like I said, this bond issue could fail in November. And we'll still be able to do all the projects. It's just going to take us 20 to 25 years. But Joel has wanted to do these things, and so he came to me, and we put our heads together and did this. And then, of course, help from our Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, which is made up of Council Member Morgan House, who used to be a geometry teacher here. And then, of course, you have other committee members like Bobby Taylor, Justin Allen, and Glenn Strong. And so I'm extremely thankful for those individuals who serve alongside us. And they don't get paid a cent for being on that advisory committee, but they help us plan and help us budget every year. And so I'm thankful for them. So that's kind of, we put all of our heads together, and every one of the individuals I just mentioned is on board for this bond issue, and then they're on board for every single project. And then, of course, before it can even go to the people, every city council member has to be in favor of it. So that's something to think about too. When you think of government, I may be the mayor, but my power is limited. To, of course, I'm more of an executive branch of government, where city council is the legislative branch of government. So I may want to do something, but if they're not in favor of it, it may not happen. So they were all in favor of it. It passed unanimously through city council, and so now it's on to the people to decide.
Yeah, I would have never understood those terms if I didn't take AP Government this year. Shout out to Mr. Phillips, thank you. So on the topic of financial and tax impact, the ballot mentions that it's a 5.7 million bond. How exactly would that be paid for, since there is no tax increase?
Yes, so currently, like I said, sales tax is generated monthly. So our Parks and Recreation Department, on average, because it's hard to calculate sales tax because it depends on the amount of money that is spent in our area in a certain amount of time. So sales tax is of course, like I said, we average probably $130,000 a month that goes into our Parks and Recreation Department. That helps fund, employees, staff. It helps pay our electric bill and all the utilities, but it also allows us to do projects, and how we've slowly been able to do projects moving forward. And that's like I said earlier, if the bond issue doesn't pass, we're still going to be able to do these projects just one at a time and very slowly. That's why I say 20, 25 years. But this is, like I said, we're asking for a surplus advancement of that $130,000 a month. And we, of course, will pay a very limited interest rate back to borrow that. But we get to complete all of our projects within 3 years rather than 25 years. And we already have that funding coming in. So it's a win-win for our area.
Mm-hmm. Since the city is using the existing 1% sales tax from 2009, how would that affect other city projects or services that rely on the same tax revenue?
So it will not affect it directly, being that we have a budget, of course. We have a budget not just for this bond issue to where we get to do those projects, but we also have a yearly budget to where we plan to spend this much on utilities, this much on this much on this much on our concession stands, this much on our pool, this much on our, you get what I'm saying, a line item budget. So I've worked with Clerk Treasurer Kerry Smith as well as our budget committee to make sure that we have ample amount of coverage, because we're seeing almost $1 million generated throughout the year to go to Parks and Rec. So this is something that we're able to have ample amount of space, emergency funds. We're not going to be doing spare projects here and there per se. Now, if emergencies arise and we need to do something, that's of course going to happen. But this is going to be able to stop those necessity projects because you update a building from 1988 and put everything new in it. You're not going to have a big as maintenance budget as you had the previous year. So there's pros and cons there, and we'll work through those. And I'm thankful, like I said, for Clerk Treasurer Pearson and our budget committee that helped me deal with those situations.
So you said that this is an advancement and not an increase. How long would it take to pay off this bond if the voters approve it?
So 12 years, that's what we calculated. Now, we could have extended that if we wanted to, or we could say we want to pay it off in 5 years, or we want to pay it off in 10 years. We work with Stevens Incorporated out of Little Rock to secure this funding and secure these bond issues. That was really on behalf of the City Council, which we've done this before. The citizens are used to this, or they should be, because the city of Sheridan has done this before, whether it's been paving streets, originally to build our detention center. And that's a totally other topic, but we're one of the only cities in the state of Arkansas with a detention center. Most counties have jails, but we're one of the only cities that have a jail. So we've done this before, but it's definitely something that is great.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really impacting the community and benefits and with their priorities where they want this to go. What benefits do you see these upgrades bringing to the Sheridan community, especially for families, youth, and local sports programs?
Yeah, so I'm going to get real personal real quick. This is one, and I may be biased, and maybe I have to say this because I'm mayor, but I personally believe Sheridan is fantastic and the best place to live. A lot of people may disagree with me, but name somewhere that's 30 minutes from downtown Little Rock. Exactly. But we're definitely unique in the sense that we're the capital seat for Grant County. So a majority of people in Grant County, they come here to shop. A majority of people in Grant County come here to send their kids to school. Give or take some to Poland School District or other areas. But you think about it. We're a town with a population of 5,011 that sees traffic. For example, students that travel from East End to Sheridan School District every day, to Sheridan High School. We're a population of 5,011 that see 18 to 19,000 people in our city each and every day. We're unique that way. But not just that, this is. And because of our local leadership in the school district, and because of our local leadership, and our businesses, I can't even begin to express how great businesses that we have here. And our town can only be as great as, for one, the people that live within it, two, the school district that resides within it, and three, the businesses that operate within it. And so people need something to do here. They want to live here. They want to send their kids to school here. Parks and Recreation gives them something to do. If they want to get out and run, they can. If they want to get out and go play tennis, they're able to. If they want to get out and go play pickleball, in the summer, if they want to send their kids somewhere safe to swim where they know there's going to be lifeguards, that's why Parks and Recreation is so important. But it gives everyone, no matter your age, something to do. Whether you're a youngster, a teenager, you're able to come after school and do something. You can play basketball. You can, fellowship with one another out at our Parks and Recreation. But not just that, our elderly who really don't have anything to do during the day occasionally. They're able to go out. They have a place that is good to use for exercise and other things. So it's great. It's great.
Yeah, the proposal includes improvements for ADA accessibility. Can you talk about how that will make Sheridan Parks more inclusive? Because you did touch up about the elderly.
Yes. So ADA compliance is something that currently right now our Parks and Recreation, if we don't touch it, we don't have to do anything about it. So that's one of the rules for ADA compliance is, a lot of facilities are just grandfathered in. So that's something that we want to combat. When you have bathrooms that certain individuals, certain citizens who pay taxes here locally can't use, that just doesn't sit right well with me. And so we should have a Parks and Recreation that is inclusive for everyone. And so whether it's an ADA, T-ball field, whether it's ADA compliant bathrooms, whether it's more ADA compliant parking, we need to be more inclusive for all citizens, not just certain citizens.
Yeah, because we do have quite a bit of elderly in Sheridan. My grandmother, one of my closest family members, she doesn't get out of the house much because there isn't much to do in Sheridan for her. On the side of like the the baseball section over there. One thing that I'm sure all the elderly people and even just the youth, because sophomore year I went out there and I took photos for an FCCLA co-ed softball event. And I was dying in the heat. I stayed there to take photos and to talk to a guy. I'm a girl, and I was dying in heat. And I don't know. Have you ever been to Amplify by chance? So you know how they have that cooling station. I think that would be an amazing something like that just over there that runs 24/7, especially during the summer. I think that would be amazing. And maybe even I don't know if I've ever heard anything like this. Instead, like how it's cools during the summer, but maybe in the winter have it as like a warming station. We don't have that much of a homeless population in Yeah. Yeah, like power outages and everything. Like I live too far from Sharon just to be able to drive up there to get warm and everything. I can use my weenie dogs to get warm. But people that live up in that section, they could easily use that when we get inclement weather through like snow or ice, when like everything's shut down, especially the schools. Because some people don't have the luxury of having a generator. Like I don't have a generator. My grandmother does, and she's my neighbor, so I walk down there to get warm in the winter. But some people just don't have those accessibilities, and especially when it comes to the elderly, they're at more of a risk to passing when they if they get too hot or if they get too cold. It's just a major issue. Okay. How do you expect these improvements to affect Sheridan's growth, local businesses, or tourism?
Whether, it goes back to what I said earlier, whether or not this bond issue passes in November next month, we're going to be able to do these projects. Like I said, I see our community growing. I see our community thriving. And so I think this could only just improve our city and our local parks and recreation by 100%. Now, are we still going to be able to operate if this doesn't pass? Absolutely. Are we still going to be able to do projects if this doesn't pass? Absolutely. Is our community still going to grow? Yes. But I see rarely any cons at all for this bond issue.
On the topic of planning and accountability, if this passage, what would be the timeline for construction and completion for these projects?
So we have a construction timeline as well as a spend timeline. So our bond issue company, Stevens Incorporated, that was one of the first questions I had was, okay, so say the bond issue passes in November and we get funding within a month, 2 months. So let's say January 1, which the government will be closed because it's a holiday. So January 2, let's say January 2nd of 2026, we get funding in our account. It'll be a private, separate account because, that just for transparency wise, we want to make sure that those funds, and just to clarify too, because this has been a question for me, is, why can't we spend some of those funds on streets or for other infrastructure improvements? Well, it's for Parks and Recreation. It can only be spent for Parks and Recreation. It goes into its own account. It can only be spent. And, every penny that the city spends, we get audited on every year. So nobody's lining their pockets. I hear funny, I see funny posts all the time on social media like, man, these local elected officials just had their pockets with funding. My net worth has dropped since I've been in office, so I don't know how that works. But it's all very transparent. We have 3 years to spend that funding. So a timeline starts for 3 years once the money is deposited into that separate account. And we can start construction almost immediately. Now, every single project will be up for bid. So we not only are there restrictions for funding and timeline, but there's also restrictions for who does the project. So you have to be licensed and bonded, but not just that. We bid out these projects and we take the lowest bid. Because we want to use this money smart and legally. So we have to do that. So there's definitely some transparency things that go along with that, and we make sure that everything is done properly through Arkansas state law as well as local law. So we're already geared up for the moment that we get funding to move forward with these projects.
What's the plan if construction costs rise, or even if the bond doesn't cover all the planned improvements?
So we did calculate going into this, percentage increases. So those are already calculated in. In fact, we're not expecting, hopefully, to have to spend $2.5 million for a Parks and Recreation, rec center remodel. We're not expecting to. Are we prepared to? Absolutely. But we've already included, percentages for, if construction material increases between now and the time we get funding. We've added in barriers to where we're covered. But any surplus funding that we have left over at the end, we're going to put directly towards our bond payments to pay it off quicker. So that's our plan.
So voting is something very important when you turn 18, and the decision can be quite stressful. How I know, like with me, one thing that I love about this podcast, I get to inform myself as I just turned like 18 in August, so I have never voted before. So this podcast is also educating me, but it's also educating maybe even the 30-year-olds who aren't well informed on these things that we're voting on. So what do you want the Sheridan residents to understand most before they vote on this issue?
Well, for starters, before you even go to vote for this issue, I'm going to get on my bandwagon because I love talking about it. One of the most important things you can do as a United States citizen is be registered to vote, and not only be registered to vote, but actually go and vote. I have seen so many people gripe because, man, I don't like something that's being done. And in reality, they didn't have a part of it. They didn't go and vote. They didn't go and vote and voice their opinion. And that's something that is so incredibly important. That's one of the greatest, things that we have on our side in our democracy is that we have the power to go and vote. And so I encourage every chance that you get to vote, first of all, make sure that you are informed. Make sure that you're getting your information from reliable sources. And not just that, do your own research. I don't think that we should just hear something and say, oh, well, I heard it on one podcast or I read it in one article. Now, I'm not saying
This is an unbiased podcast.
But what I'm saying is make sure that you're doing your homework. That's being a responsible citizen and a responsible voter. So make sure that you're doing your homework, that you go into that voting booth and you know what you're going to vote for. There's been times in the past, and I'll admit, I have seen these long amendments or these long laws that are trying to be passed, and I'm like, did I just not vote here? Let me try to read it real quick and try to figure out what it's talking about, But our extension service does something really cool too. In the coming election months, you can go to our local extension office. They give you a actual printed out booklet, and it gives you an opinion of people that are for it. It gives you an opinion of people that are against it. But not just that, it explains to you exactly what's going to be on your ballot. You can call the election office here locally or wherever you live, and you can get a copy of your ballot. And that's what you need to do beforehand. So, and you can go in and you can spend 30 seconds checking off boxes because you already know what's going on. So make sure you're informed. But like I said earlier, of course, I'm the mayor and I've proposed this bond issue. I'm going to be in favor of it. There are individuals that are against it. And it may be just because they're, not informed. Maybe they believe it's a tax increase, and if I believe that it was a tax increase, of course, I would probably say, no, I'm not in favor of it. No, I don't want my taxes to go up. But make sure you're informed And of course, I'm going to say go November 18th and vote yes. So it's just a side note for me. So.
If this measure does not pass, what will happen to the proposed park and recreation progress?
So, like I said earlier, you know, we're going to be just fine if it doesn't pass. We're still going to be able to do these proposed projects. Just because we have that funding coming in monthly, it's just going to put and I say progress, our improvement progress back several years, just because we're going to have to, you know, for one, we're going to have to base it on the amount of years and the amount of funding. But not just that, you know, we've also got sidewalk projects that are coming up that we want to use funding for. We've got other projects that we want to use funding for. So we're going to be just fine, and we're going to be able to do all these projects. It's just going to take 20, 25 years.
Yep. And the wait, I think, even if it doesn't pass, I think the wait is worth it. So that's it for the bonds questions. But I noticed your hat, reelect. So you're running for mayor again?
Yeah. So currently, I am almost completing year 3 within the next 2 months. I'm in a 4-year term. And so I'm running for re-election just because I think that I've been able to accomplish a lot in my first term as mayor, and I want to continue accomplishing some of the things that, you know, I think is what's best for our city. And super excited about that, and super excited to put my name back out there and want individuals to you know, tell me if I'm doing a good job or not, just because, you know, that's part of the people, and I think that's a big way that, you know, you vote, is if you think the candidate that you have currently is doing a good job, you know, re-elect them. If not, you know, it's time for someone else. So yeah, I'm running for re-election, super excited about it, did a lot of praying about it, and you know, willing to represent the citizens of Sheridan another 4 years.
Yeah, I personally think you're doing a great job, even though you did steal my first East project. I was going to create a Sheridan, Arkansas app. And then, like, the next day you published it, I was like, well, gosh darn it. I do have the app, though, and it's actually very helpful. So go download the app. Yes. But the way that you're involved with the social media, and you even have your own podcast, Mugs with the Mayor. Yes. And I was like, okay, so he has that I did too, but I don't care. I'm creating my own Sheridan, Arkansas podcast. We could be twins. Yeah. But I love how you're involved with the media and all that stuff, because personally, you know, technically I am the media at this point.
It's transparent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what you talked about earlier. You know, people want you to be transparent, especially local government in today's society. They want transparency. So that's the easiest way to do it, is to give them information. I mean, tell them what you do during the day. Tell them what projects you have going on. Give them the information. So that's big for us.
So what month and year would your re-election be going?
So I'm a year out. So filing deadline for me is sometime in next August, and you know, I'll run for re-election next November. So my position is different than other elected officials in our city and county, just because I'm a nonpartisan position, meaning I don't claim a political party, but also don't have political party you know, guidelines or expenditures, or you know, I don't have to be endorsed by a political party. So I'm a nonpartisan candidate. The only restrictions that I have is to get signatures from certified voters. So I have to get a percentage of the amount of people that live here, and then I can be placed on the ballot. So I have no filing fees. So nonpartisan, and I like how you know, a lot of municipalities are moving towards nonpartisan positions, just because, you know, whether you're Democrat or Republican in the city of Sheridan, you're receiving service from us. And so there's really not a lot of partisan decisions that need to be made locally in your local government. So that's something that's important to us.
Yeah, I figured I would just touch up on that subject of you running for re-election, since I won't be the Sheridan, Arkansas podcast in November 2026. But thank you so much for coming on our podcast. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to come here and answer some questions so we can inform the community about the bonds in the special election coming up on November 8th. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.